Hare Krishna. So looks like the previous train arrived a little early on this platform. So I'm sorry, a little unprepared, but hopefully I will get warmed up soon. So we're reading ISKCON. I'll continue where Mataji left off. So Bharadwaj Muni has said, now please stay here for the night. You can resume a journey tomorrow after that, right? Hare Krishna. Bharat accepted Bharadwaj's hospitality. Then the rishi requested him to call for his entire army, wishing to entertain them also. After the soldiers arrived at his ashram, Bharadwaj invoked Vishwakarma and many other demigods headed by Indra, Yamaraja, Varuna and Kuvera, requesting them to supply all the necessary objects for a first-class reception for his guests. Immediately thereafter, fragrant breezes began to blow, and as fragrant flowers showered down from the heavens, celestial drums beat, accompanied by the singing of Gandharvas and the dancing of Apsaras. By Vishwakarma's arrangement, the entire area within a 40-mile radius became instantly carpeted with lush parks full of fruit and flower-bearing trees. Miraculously, 4-room mansions and stables became manifested, as well as a royal palace, complete with every imaginable comfort, furniture, food, clothing, and articles of enjoyment. Bharat entered the magnificent palace, accompanied by his priests and ministers. As he approached the royal throne, he meditated upon Ram as if he were seated there. Thinking in this way, Bharat circumambulated the throne and then offered obeisances. He then picked up a chamara and sat in the seat intended for the chief minister, as everyone else took their respective places. Meanwhile, by utilizing his mystic power, Bharadwaj created a river of sweet rice that flowed through this ashrama. Lord Brahma and Kuvera each sent 20,000 women whose embrace caused a man to appear as if seized by a fit of madness. The chiefs of the Gandharvas came to sing of Rama's glories for Bharat, and celestial trees were summoned by Bharadwaj to accompany them on various musical instruments. While Bharat was thus being entertained, the soldiers were hardly neglected. Celestial girls sang to them with sweet voices and urged them to drink wine and eat sweet rice. 7 or 8 girls were engaged in rubbing oil over each man's body and then bathing them with water. Other girls massaged the warriors' feet while giving them wine in a secluded place. Even the horses were fed grains dipped in honey. When the men became intoxicated, they exclaimed, "This is heaven. We no longer want to continue our journey to the forest and return to Ayodhya." In this way, the soldiers became satiated with all manner of enjoyment in the company of the celestial damsels. Indeed, thousands of soldiers were seen running here and there while singing, laughing, and dancing. Everyone was so amazed by the entertainment that it appeared to them as if they were enjoying a delightful dream. The night seemed to swiftly pass away. With the appearance of dawn, the Gandharvas, Apsaras, and celestial trees took their leave from Bharadwaj and returned to their respective abodes. Bharat then took his mothers and approached Bharadwaj, asking them for directions to Chitrakoot. Bharadwaj saw that one woman of the party appeared emaciated from grief. Just then another woman clasped his feet to offer respects, while a third stood with her head hung in shame. Seeing his concern, Bharat explained, "This is Kaushalya, the senior widow of my father. This is Sumitra, the mother of Lakshmana and Shatrughna. This other woman, who is vulgar, cruel, conceited, and sinful, is Kaikeyi. Being the cause of Rama's exile, she is the cause of all our present miseries." Bharadwaj then told Bharat, "You should not consider your mother to be actually guilty. There is a higher purpose behind Ram's banishment to the forest. Thus it is meant for the welfare and happiness of all living entities." Thereafter, Bharat circumambulated Bharadwaj Rishi and commanded his army to depart. As the regiments of infantry, horses, chariots, and elephants marched forward, All the forest animals fled out of fear. Finally, when Chitraketu mountain was in view, Bharat commanded his sentries to look for Ram's cottage. Some soldiers then saw a column of smoke rising in the distance and excitedly informed Bharat. After ordering the army to set up a camp, Bharat approached the cottage of Ram on foot along with Vasishta, Sumantra and several others. Having resided at Chitraketu for 3 months, Ram was passing his time with Sita, sitting on a big rock at the foot of the hill. Ram was describing to Sita the various roots that the rishis ate and pointed out the varieties of trees, flowers, and wild animals that abounded there. Ram always tried his best to please Sita and divert her mind from the grief of living in exile. While speaking to Sita, Ram pointed to the river Mandakini adorned with beautiful flowers, which served as the sporting ground for swans, cranes, and other exotic birds. Truly, O dear one, Rama said, there is no reason for us to be aggrieved, for we are residing together in this lovely place. At just this time, Rama noticed the dust being raised by Bharat's army coming in the far distance. Soon Ram could hear the noises of the wild animals that were fleeing in fear. At this, Ram turned to Lakshman and said, whatever is raising the dust is frightening the forest animals. Find out at once what is causing this disturbance. Lakshman then climbed a tall tree, and from there he could see the large army approaching. With great urgency, he called down to Ram, put out the fire immediately. A great army is approaching. Hide Sita. Did I miss a page? Sorry. Lakshman then climbed a tall tree, and from there he could see the large army approaching. With great urgency, he called down to Ram, put out the fire immediately. A great army is approaching. Hide Sita within a cave and gather our weapons. We must prepare to meet them. Rama then called back to his brother, look out to see their chariot flags so we may know whose army is coming. By the insignia, Lakshmana recognized that it was his brother's army and shouted to Ram, it is Bharat. He must be coming to kill us so he can be assured of enjoying unrivaled sovereignty. Indeed, they approach with great enthusiasm. We must make ready immediately, taking our bows to fight with them from the top of the hill. I think this is our good fortune, for now we can fight with the person who has caused our misfortune and suffering. We should not hesitate to kill Bharat outright. Afterwards, I shall take pleasure in killing Kaikeyi with all her relatives, just to purge the earth of the sins she has committed. Checking the enraged Lakshman, Ram said, Bharat is coming here in great eagerness to see me. What then is the necessity of bows and arrows? My opinion is that Bharat has come to offer me the kingdom. However, if you wish to kill Bharat so you may enjoy the royal throne yourself, then say so, and I will tell Bharat to hand it over peacefully. Thus admonished by Ram, Lakshman hung his head in shame, saying, I was hoping our father had come to see us. However, since his familiar elephant is visible, though bereft of his usual white umbrella, I do not think he has. Lakshman then climbed down the tree and returned to the cottage with Ram and Sita. At this time, Bharat entered the forest surrounding Chitraketu mountain. When Bharat again spotted the column of smoke, he proceeded in that direction, hoping it would lead to Rama's cottage. As Bharat hastened there, Guha, Shatrughna, and others followed, while Vasishta brought the 3 mothers. Finally, Bharat came to a clearing in the forest and saw the cottage with the gold-plated bows of Ram and Lakshman and a sacrificial altar in front. When Bharat saw Ram, he rushed down with tears in his eyes, crying, O Ram, how painful it is seeing you with matted hair and clothing made of tree bark and your lotus feet pricked by the thorns of the forest. It is my fault that you cannot enjoy the royal comforts you are accustomed to, and instead must endure these hardships in the jungle. Coming forward to touch Ram's feet, Bharat suddenly fainted and fell down to the ground. Ram quickly lifted him up and was disturbed to see that he was also wearing tree bark. After embracing Shatrughna, who had also fallen at his feet, Ram embraced Sumantra and Guha. Then Ram took Bharat on his lap, saying, Dear brother, Why have you come here, leaving our father alone and unattended? Tell me about our mothers and the citizens of Ayodhya. Are they all well and happy? Ram then inquired from Bharat in a way that was instructive to all present. My dear Bharat, please know that our righteous kingdom will surely prosper. Are the Brahmanas, the elders and the demigods being properly respected? Are the women within the kingdom honored and protected? Are disputes being impartially judged? I hope you are avoiding the 14 weaknesses of a king: atheism, hypocrisy, anger, procrastination, laziness, slavery to the senses, contempt for good advice, lack of vigilance, fondness for bad counsel, impractical planning, inability to keep a secret, attachment for foolish friends, negligence of religious observances, and failure to counteract enemies. My dear brother, are you aware of the 3 kinds of prowess: energy, authority, and intelligence? Do you avoid the following 4 types of company? The gossipy, the foul-mouthed, the usurper of property, and the unjust. Do you avoid making alliances with these 16 kings? The child monarch, the senile, the frail and ill, those who have been overthrown, the overly aggressive, the cowardly, the greedy, the sensualist, the frivolous, those who are defeated in battle, those who frequently travel abroad, those with many enemies, those who are poverty-stricken, those opposed to religious principles, those who are despised by the ministers and the mentally disturbed. So there's a Srila Prabhupada explanation over here. The lotus feet of the Lord are always a subject matter for meditation for devotees. Sometimes, when Lord Ramchandra wandered in the forest of Dandakaranya, thorns pricked his lotus feet. The devotees, upon thinking of this, would faint. The Lord does not feel pain or pleasure from any action or reaction of this material world, but the devotees cannot tolerate even the pricking of the Lord's feet by a thorn. Continue with Ramayana. Ram speaking. I hope you prefer to keep the company of one learned man rather than thousands of ignorant fools. One talented minister can give one immense benefit, whereas in times of necessity, thousands of fools can do nothing. O Bharat, if a king does not get rid of a physician who is simply adept at aggravating a disease, a servant who is intent upon bringing disgrace to his master, or a warrior who wants to become ruler himself, then they will surely kill him. Are the women protected and honored by you? Are they pacified with regard to their material needs? I hope you do not place too much faith in women or confide your secrets to them. While observing Bharat's matted hair and forest clothing, Ram could understand that he had accepted these austerities out of love for him. Thus, after again embracing Bharat, Ram inquired, My dear brother, why have you relinquished the throne, come to the forest dressed as a mendicant? Bharat replied, O Rama, my mother's intrigues were carried out without my knowledge. I know you are the rightful heir. Thus, I implore you to return to Ayodhya and take up the rule of the kingdom. Practically, the whole of Ayodhya has come to a standstill, for everyone is morose because of your absence. While making his impassioned plea, Bharat held the lotus feet of Sri Ram, placing them on his head. Ram then picked up Bharat, saying, I know you took no part in banishing me to the forest. Still, I have no desire to gain the throne by sinful means. O Bharat, you should not condemn your mother or the king, for they were both acting within the bounds of propriety. Indeed, elders are free to do as they like with their dependents. Therefore, you should accept the royal throne and rule the kingdom. That was the desire of your father. I am determined to spend 14 years in the forest, for I consider the father's order to be the supreme religious principle. Bharat, however, objected, saying, In the presence of an elder prince, no one else can become the king. Therefore, you must come back to Ayodhya and sit upon the royal throne after offering water to the departed soul of our father. When he heard of his father's death, Rama immediately fainted to the ground. Only when Sita, Lakshmana and Shatrugna sprinkled water on his body did he regain consciousness. Then, after tearfully lamenting the loss of his father, Rama declared, Now I shall never return to Ayodhya. Although he appeared to lament like an ordinary man, in truth, Ram remained transcendental. The Lord, his body and his pastimes are never ordinary or material. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna proclaims that simply by understanding the transcendental nature of his appearance, activities, and disappearance, one can become liberated from the cycle of birth and death. Lord Krishna displayed a similar reaction when informed by the demon Salva that his father Vasudeva had been killed. At that time, he almost fell unconscious from grief. Why do Lord Ram and Lord Krishna appear at times to be bewildered, although they are both the same Supreme Personality of Godhead? Lamentation and bewilderment characterize a conditioned soul. How can they be present in God, who is full in all opulences, including knowledge and power? This is a controversial point. Factually, the Lord is never misled or illusioned. When playing the role of a human being, he presents himself as a complete human being, exhibiting all the emotions of an ordinary man. All great sages who render the Lord transcendental loving service are liberated from the bodily conception. How then could the Lord himself fall under illusion by identifying the soul with the body? Clearly, his grief is but another opulence, another facet of his supreme, unlimited, and unconceivable personality. Thereafter, Ram went to the banks of the Mandakini Ganga with his brothers and Sumantra to offer water for the benefit of his father. Then upon returning to his cottage atop the Chitrakuta mountain, Ram clasped the hand of his brothers and all four of them wailed in grief. This loud sound reverberated through the valley. When Bharat's army heard the sound, they became aggrieved, for they knew it to be the brothers' lamentation for the departed father. All the soldiers then rushed toward the sound, for they too were anxious to see Ram. When they reached the cottage, the warriors greeted Ram with tears in their eyes. In turn, Ram welcomed each of them according to their position. Meanwhile, while keeping the three widows of King Dashrath in front, Vasishtha hastened to see Ram. When Vasishtha and the widows arrived at the banks of the Mandakini Ganga, they saw the remnants of articles used as an offering by Ram for his departed father. Kaushalya was pained to see that the only food Ram had at his disposal for an offering was the pulp of a forest fruit. Kaushalya considered this unworthy for a husband, and with some amusement she thought, this is the truth of the adage, the deities a man worships has to partake of the same food upon which he subsists. When Vasishtha and the three widows arrived at Ram's cottage, they were distressed to see him. He looked like a demigod that had fallen from heaven. Ram quickly stood up and went to touch the feet of his mothers. Then, as he bowed before them, the three women wiped the dust from Ram's back. Likewise, with tears in their eyes, Sita and Lakshman touched the feet of the mothers. Kaushalya embraced Sita, while Ram approached Vasishtha to touch his feet. Ram then sat down with his preceptor as others also came around them. Bharat then told Ram, I want to return the kingdom of Kaushalya to you. Although everyone present applauded this proposal, Ram replied, my dear Bharat, in this material world no one can act independently. Under the control of eternal time, everything ultimately meets with defeat. Thus, no wise man should lament for life's reversals. Union ends in separation, for as pieces of driftwood float together and then disperse, family and society meet briefly and then depart for their separate destinations. As solid pillars gradually decay, causing a house to collapse, a man totters into old age and finally meets death. As a river cannot return to its source, everyone must follow the path of his father and forefathers. Why should one mourn for others when he himself is dying? A man's skin becomes wrinkled and his hair turns grey. What can he do? He rejoices when the sun rises and rejoices when it sets, not thinking he has died a little. A sober and learned person should utilize his energy for following religious principles to attain a higher destination after death. There is no need to lament for our father, for he has given up an old body to attain heavenly happiness, Bharat. You must return to Ayodhya at once and execute our father's order. I will remain here to carry out his will. Bharat argued, our noble father had become too infatuated with women in his old age. Indeed, he seemed to confirm the popular notion at the time of death one invariably becomes obsessed by something. Rama, you should undo the harm that our father caused due to that obsession and return to Ayodhya. You are a Kshatriya, and your duty is to act as a ruler, not as a hermit. You are a householder, the noblest of the 4 ashramas. Why are you abandoning the duties of the family life? If you refuse to return to Ayodhya, then so shall I. I will remain here in the forest with you like Lakshmana. Rama replied, Dear Bharat, you are wrongly criticizing our father, saying he was impelled by lusty attachment for Kekai. At the time of Dashrath's marriage to Kekai, her father had made him promise that her son would succeed him as emperor. Bharat, please go back to Ayodhya now to keep our father's promise intact. You must take the responsibility of ruling the kingdom, even if it is only for my sake. Next, the great Rishi named Jabali began to speak. With the hope of inspiring within Ram some desire to enjoy royal opulence and sense gratification, thus causing him to return to Ayodhya, Jabali expounded the following atheistic philosophy. O Prince, the living being is nothing more than the resultant combination of sperm and ovum. The father is the efficient cause of the living being, and the mother is the material cause. But in reality, the only cause of creation is the chance interaction of atomic particles. When a person dies, he once more becomes dust. Thus, everything is only a combination of atoms and nothing more. What we call mother, father, son or daughter has no actual relationship with us. Rama, why should you undergo suffering just for the sake of your so-called father? What is the use of performing funeral ceremonies? Can the dead eat your offerings? Only what we can directly perceive is the all in all. Therefore, my dear Rama, you should enjoy that which is pleasing to the senses by accepting the kingdom from Bharat. Hearing this diatribe, Ram angrily replied, Your views are impiety in the garb of piety. Thus they are most dangerous. In the name of wisdom, you are preaching the grossest ignorance. Real knowledge leads to self-realization, whereas one who lives only for the pleasure of the senses becomes a slave to uncontrolled lust and greed. Truth is the highest principle of virtue. Thus, I will adhere to the order of my father without being swayed by the aspiration for personal sense gratification. This earth is the field of action. When one attains the rarely achieved human birth, he should only perform pious activities. My father made a mistake by keeping you as a minister because your views are atheistic. A non-believer like yourself, so condemned that the Vedas prohibit one from even seeing his face. Jabali then admitted, In truth, I am a follower of the Vedas. I have firm faith in the existence of God. I was only speaking from that viewpoint in hope of persuading you to return to Ayodhya. At that, Vasishtha intervened, since Ram had spoken highly agitated by Jabali's speech. Jabali spoke like an atheist only because he knew how much everyone wants you to return to Ayodhya to sit on the throne. In the dynasty of Ikshvaku, every great ruler of the past selected their eldest son to inherit the kingdom. The unbroken rule has been that for as long as the elder brother is alive, the younger brother cannot accept the throne. Therefore, we again implore you to return to Ayodhya. You should consider that to deny my order would be an irreligious act. The instructions of the Guru take precedence over those given by the mother or father. Ram, however, remained adamant, insisting that one's duty to his parents is inviolable. When Bharat realized that his attempt to persuade Ram was futile, he became so sad that he ordered Sumantra, Spread kusa grass in front of the doorway of Ram's cottage. I will sit there blindfolded, foregoing all food and drink until Ram relents and accepts the royal throne. Sumantra, however, would not act without Ram's order. Thus Bharat spread the kusa grass with his own hands and sat down in front of Ram's cottage. Rama then said, Dear brother, why are you adopting this attitude? Why are you so stubbornly trying to oppose me? Thus addressed, Bharat gave up the idea of fasting until death, but continued pleading, Let me act as your proxy by staying here in the forest for 14 years while you return to Ayodhya. Just then, a host of celestial rishis appeared invisibly in the sky and applauded the wonderful conversation between the two brothers. Then, desiring to accelerate the death of Ravana, the rishi said, O Bharat, you should follow the advice of your elder brother Rama. Finally, surrendering to the inevitable, Bharat produced a pair of wooden sandals inlaid with gold. He then requested Ram to place his lotus feet on them. Ram did as his brother asked and then returned the sandals to Bharat. Then, with the sandals in hand, Bharat bowed to Rama saying, After relegating the burden of ruling the kingdom to these sandals, I will remain outside Ayodhya wearing matted hair and clothing of tree bark. O Rama, I shall subsist upon only fruit and roots while awaiting your return. If, however, after 14 years you do not come back to Ayodhya, then I shall give up my life by entering fire. Ram sanctioned his statement and then embraced Bharat and Shatrughna, assuring them he would return after the term of his exile had expired. With tears in his eyes, Ram bid farewell to his brother and urged them not to neglect or hate Kaikeyi. Ram then spoke sweet words to his mother, although they were too upset to reply. Bharat then circumambulated Rama, and at last, while imploring everyone to leave for Ayodhya, Ram turned his back and entered the cottage. Placing Ram's sandals upon his head, Bharat mounted his chariot. Along with Shatrughna, they set out, keeping the Brahmanas in front. When they arrived at the ashram of Bharadwaj, the sage inquired whether Bharat had seen Ram and if he had accomplished his mission. Bharat replied that Ram was determined to observe his term of exile. Vashishta brought forth Ram's wooden sandals and requested Bharadwaj to empower them with the potency to fulfill the needs of the people of Ayodhya. This was ceremoniously done by Bharadwaj, and thereafter Bharat clasped the Rishi's feet and took permission to depart. Returning by the same path he previously followed, Bharat finally arrived at the outskirts of Ayodhya. When he saw the city's desolate appearance, he said to Samantra, "Without Ram, Ayodhya has no life. Just as a material body remains inert as soon as the living force passes out of it." Upon entering Dasharatha's place, Bharat broke down and cried, seeing its desolate appearance. Bharat then announced that he would retire to Nandigram to live as an ascetic. As the minister praised his noble determination, Bharat called for his chariot and departed with Shatrughna. Out of spontaneous affection, all Ayodhya citizens followed Bharat to Nandigram, a village just outside Ayodhya. Upon his arrival, Bharat first ordered his ministers to install Ram's shoes upon the royal throne. Thereafter, remaining at Nandigram with his army, Bharat submitted the state's affairs before Ram's shoes, including all gifts presented to him. Bharat would often be seen holding the royal umbrella over Ram's shoes or fanning them with a chamara. In this way, he ruled the kingdom for 14 years, always feeling subordinate to Lord Rama, who remained there in the form of shoes. Meanwhile, Ram noticed that there was anxiety within the minds of the rishis living in the vicinity of Chitrakoot mountain. Feeling that he might be the cause, Ram humbly approached the chief rishi and said, "I can see that something is disturbing the minds of the rishis living here. Please tell me why, if you can, especially if I am at fault." The old rishi replied, "My dear Ram, there could never be any fault on your part. Our fear is caused by the Rakshasas headed by Khara, the younger brother of Ravana. Being envious by nature, Khara and the other Rakshasas come before us in hideous forms and disrupt our sacrifice and pollute our bodies with impure substances. We shall move to another area before the Rakshasas resort to violence. I plan to take my disciples to the ashram of Ashwamuni not far from here. If you like, you may also accompany me and take up residence there." Rama gave the rishi permission to depart, but informed him that he would remain at Chitrakoot. Later on, however, Ram felt uncomfortable about staying there since the memory of Bharat and his mothers haunted him. Ram also felt that the area had become contaminated by the stool of the horses and elephant of Bharat's army. Thus he finally made up his mind to go elsewhere. Ram, Sita and Lakshman thus left Chitrakoot for the ashram of Atri Muni, where they were received affectionately as if they were the Rishi's own children. When Atri called for his aged wife, Anasuya, to welcome Sita, the eternal consort of Lord Rama approached the ascetic woman with great humility. Having greeted that hermitess who was endowed with self-restraint, Sita, full of joy, inquired after her health with joined palms. Seeing the highly blessed and celebrated Sita, who was given to the practice of virtue, the old lady thereupon comfortingly said to her, "Luckily enough, you have your eyes fixed on righteousness. Oh Sita, I am glad you are following your husband Sri Rama, who have thus been exiled to the forest. Words that are attended with great prosperity await those women to whom their husband is dear, no matter whether he lives in a city or in a forest, whether he is in a propitious or whether he is propitious or adverse. In the eyes of women who are blessed with noble disposition, the husband is the highest deity. No matter whether he is ill-mannered or licentious or entirely devoid of riches. I do not see for a woman a friend greater than the husband and more capable of yielding one's desired object at all places like the imperishable fruit of one's austerities. O princess of the Videha kingdom, those evil women, however, whose hearts are swayed by desire, who lord it over their husband, having no sense of virtue and vice, and move about at will, do not follow him in the aforesaid manner. Indeed, fallen a prey to lust, women who belong to that category, O princess of Mithila, meet with a fall from virtue and also reap infamy. Women like you, on the other hand, who are adorned with virtues like devotion to their husband and who know what is good and evil in the world, will dwell in heaven in the same way as those who have performed meritorious deeds. Therefore, remaining devoted to the service of this prince, looking upon him as the foremost object of your worship and carefully serving him, practice virtue in cooperation with your husband. Thereby, you will easily attain fame as well as religious merit. Appreciating Anasuya's words, Sita modestly replied as follows: This instruction which you have given me is no matter for wonder on your holiness' part. It is, however, already known to me how the husband is the adored of a chaste wife. Even if the husband of mine were ignoble and without any means of livelihood, I ought to have nonetheless conducted myself in the same way without any hesitation or scruple towards him. This was my duty. How much more worthy of devotion than is he who is deserving of praise by virtue of his excellencies and excellent qualities, headed by compassion, who has controlled his senses, who is constant in his love, whose mind is set on righteousness, and who is as loving as the mother and father combined. Sri Rama, who is possessed of great might, conducted himself towards the other consorts of the kings, his stepmothers, in the same way as he did towards Kaushalya, his own mother. Whatever was taught to me by my mother-in-law while I was coming to this lonely forest stands inscribed on my heart. Nay, that lesson too which was actually imparted to me in the past by my mother while making over my hand to the bridegroom at the time of marriage, in the presence of the sacred fire, is still remembered by me. All that teachings has actually been renewed in my mind by your teachings, O lady, given to the practice of virtue. No austerity, other than the service of a husband, is enjoined on a wife. Steadfast in their vow of fidelity to their husbands, many exalted women are highly respected in the realm of gods by dint of their meritorious action. Being pleased with Sita, Anasuya then said, My dear child, I wish to offer you a benediction, using my ample stock of ascetic merit. Just tell me what you would like. Sita replied, O great saintly lady, your presence is itself a sufficient benediction. Nevertheless, Anasuya happily gave Sita a celestial garland that never faded, celestial garments, ornaments, and cosmetics that were all inexhaustible. Then, when Anasuya requested her to narrate the story of her marriage to Ram, Sita replied as follows: While my father, King Janak, was once plowing the soil to prepare a sacrificial altar, I suddenly emerged from the earth covered with dust. A celestial voice then announced that I should be accepted as the childless king. Thus I was raised as the daughter of Maharaja Janak. Then, as I approached puberty, my father became anxious, since he could not find a suitable husband for such a divinely born girl. Finally, he decided to hold a swayamvar where I would be allowed to marry anyone who would string the bow of Lord Shiva given by Varuna to our ancestor Devavrata. However, even the greatest of kings failed to lift the bow, what to speak of stringing it. However, Ram arrived at Mithila along with Vishwamitra, and he easily broke the bow in two after stringing it. But Ram would not accept me as his wife until he received permission from his father Maharaj Dasharatha. Thus, it was only after the arrival of the Kaushala king that the marriage ceremony was performed. After Sita had told the story and evening was approaching, Anasuya requested Sita to attend to her husband after adorning herself with her newly acquired jewels. Ram was pleased to see Sita so exquisitely decorated, and that night they slept at Atri Rishi's ashram. The next morning, Rama inquired from the Rishi about the path leading to the Dandakaranya forest. The sage then gave Ram directions and warned him, "That forest is infested with fierce and malicious Rakshasas. They take pleasure in devouring anyone living there that neglects to rinse his mouth after eating or drinking, or who is unattentive in following any other religious injunction." Thereafter, Ram took leave of the Rishi and, accompanied by Sita and Lakshman, entered the dense forest like the moon entering a mass of dark clouds. Next Kanda, Aranyakanda. As Ram, Sita and Lakshman approached the Dandakaranya forest, they beheld a delightful cluster of cottages inhabited by rishis, surrounded by towering trees laden with fruits and flowers, and resounded with the singing of birds and the chanting of Vedic mantras. The ashrama sanctified the hearts of all who beheld it. Kusha grass and garments made of tree bark were spread everywhere, and deer and other wild animals roamed about freely without fear. Ram and Lakshman loosened the strings of their bows and entered the hermitage. The rishis greeted them pleasantly and gave them a suitable grassed hut to reside in. Then, after passing the night, Ram took his leave from the sages and ventured even deeper into the forest, with Sita walking in the middle and Lakshman behind. As they walked along, a gigantic, hideous Rakshasa suddenly appeared before them. Clad in a blood-stained tiger skin, he had sunken eyes, long sharp teeth, a jagged jaw, and a large round protruding belly. From his spear dangled the heads of 3 lions, 4 tigers, 2 wolves, 10 spotted deer, and an elephant, all dripping with blood. Appearing like death personified, the horrible monster roared ferociously and lunged forward, catching hold of Sita. Then, after quickly retreating some distance, the Rakshasa again roared loudly, "I shall take this woman for my wife and drink the blood of you other 2. At this, Ram exclaimed, "Alas, seeing Sita being touched by another is more painful for me to bear than the death of my father." Lakshmana, however, is no mood for such talk. He reproached Ram, saying, "How can you merely stand there lamenting? Watch me as I kill this Rakshasa and vent the anger I have held towards Bharat for so long." The Rakshasa called out, "Who are you? Who are you intruding into my forest?" Ram replied, "We are 2 Kshatriyas. Why do you dare obstruct us like this, carrying off my wife?" To this the Rakshasa said, "My name is Virada. I am the son of Java by second wife Satarada. In reward for my severe austerities, Lord Brahma benedicted me to become immune from all weapons. Therefore, I advise you to run away while you can and leave this lovely woman for me. Otherwise, I will be forced to kill you." At that, Ram and Lakshmana quickly took up their swords and rushed up at the Rakshasa. However, even though they severely hacked his body, the wounded Rakshasa picked up Ram and Lakshmana in his arms and began carrying them away deep into the forest. Upon seeing this, Sita cried out piteously, "Oh Rakshasa, please leave these 2 aside and take me instead." Hearing this, Ram and Lakshmana decided to kill Virada at once. Exhibiting superhuman prowess, Ram broke off the Rakshasa's right arm while Lakshmana wrenched off his left. As Virada fell to the ground, bereft of his senses, Ram and Lakshmana continued to beat him with their fist. However, in spite of being smashed and kicked, the Rakshasa did not die. Seeing this, Ram told Lakshmana, "Since this demon cannot be slain in battle, let us bury him alive. Quickly dig a pit while I guard him." As Lakshmana dug, Virada regained consciousness and said to Ram, "I now recognize you. In truth, I am the Gandharva Tumburu. Because of lusting after the Apsara Ramba, I was cursed by Kuvera to become a Rakshasa until a time that I would be delivered by you. Please bury me in this hole to release me from this curse. Thereafter, please go to meet the great Rishi Sarabhanga, who resides 12 miles from here. When you see him, he will give you some very beneficial advice." Lakshmana continued digging while Ram kept his foot on the Rakshasa's neck. Thus, when Lakshmana had finished, Ram threw the screaming demon deep into the hole and quickly covered him up with large stones. In this way, Tumburu gave up his Rakshasa body and ascended to heaven, relieved of his curse. Formerly, even great demons like Virada were intelligent enough to understand that they were not the body but eternal spirit souls transmigrating from one body to another. Today, due to the influence of the age of Kali, even great scholars and religionists cannot understand this truth. In this age, people are short-lived, unintelligent, unfortunate, and not philosophically inclined. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya has shown his special mercy by delivering the easiest and most sublime method of self-realization, the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, by which one immediately contacts the Lord and qualifies himself to ascend to the spiritual world and live in eternal bliss with him. Ram, Lakshman and Sita set out to see the great sage Sarbhanga. As they approached the Rishi's ashram, they were amazed to see King Indra seated upon a celestial chariot whose wheels did not touch the ground. Indra was accompanied by other demigods and was conversing with Sarbhanga, while another celestial chariot drawn by green horses waited in the sky. However, when Indra saw Ram approaching, he told other demigods, "I do not want the Lord to see me yet, but only after he kills Ravana." Indra ascended to the sky on his chariot drawn by 1,000 horses. Having witnessed this wonder, Sita, Ram and Lakshman quickly went and touched Sarbhanga's feet. Then, after being welcomed by the Rishi, Ram said, "O foremost of sages, if you are able to discuss the matter, please tell us the purpose of Indra's visit." Sarbhanga replied, "Indra came here to take me to Brahmaloka, the destination I have earned by my performances of severe penances. However, I told the King of Heaven that before departing from this world, I wanted to see you, knowing that you were nearby." Ram requested Sarbhanga to designate a place for him to dwell during the period of his exile. The Rishi replied, "O Lord, you should approach the great sage Sutikshna. He will provide you with a suitable residence in a most pleasant portion of the forest. O Rama, as for myself, I have one request I beg you to fulfill. The time has come for me to quit my body. Therefore, I humbly request that I may do so in your presence." Saying this, Sarbhanga built a fire, and when he poured ghee upon it, the fire blazed brightly. Then, while chanting mantras, the rishis entered the fire, burning his body to ashes. Immediately thereafter, Sarbhanga rose from the fire in a youthful, dazzlingly effulgent body. He then ascended to Brahmaloka and was welcomed by its inhabitants. Thereafter, the assembled rishis approached Rama and petitioned, "Many of us who live in this forest are being mercilessly killed by the Rakshasas. You may come and see the dead bodies that are still lying about here and there. O Rama, we humbly request that you give us protection." Rama assured the rishis, "As a Kshatriya, I am your servant. Thus for your sake, I will kill the Rakshasas." Accompanied by the sages, Ram proceeded to the ashrama of Sutikshna. After receiving Ram's obeisances, the rishi said, "I have been awaiting your visit, O descendant in the dynasty of Raghu, before ascending to Brahmaloka. Before ascending to Brahmaloka, King Indra came here and informed me of your imminent arrival." When Rama asked the rishi to designate a place for him to reside, the rishi offered him the use of his own cottage. Ram refused, however, saying, "If we were to remain here by killing the deer, we would become the cause of your unhappiness." Ram, Sita and Lakshmana spent the night at Sutikshna's ashram. The next morning, Ram took his leave, bowing before the great sage. Sutikshna embraced Rama, inviting him to return to his ashram after visiting the different hermitages in the Dandakarna forest. Later that day, hoping to tactfully impart some advice to Rama, Sita said, "My dear husband, due to the powerful influence of material nature, it is possible even for a great and noble man to gradually become degraded. Therefore, one should always be very careful to control his mind and senses, avoiding the addictions that result from material desire. There are 3 sinful activities that should specially be avoided: false speech, sexual relation with another's wife, and cruelty towards those who are not inimical. In your character there is no trace of the first two faults, for you never uttered a lie, nor could you think of lusting after another man's wife. However, I see that you take the lives of many innocent animals, thus I can understand that there is still the contamination of enmity in you. I feel very unhappy when I see how the poor animals are being needlessly killed. My dear Rama, simply by carrying a bow in your hands you increase the killing propensity, just as putting fuel too near a fire makes it blaze higher. Please listen as I relate a story in this connection. Once there was a great rishi who performed such powerful austerities that King Indra became afraid of being overthrown. With a desire to obstruct the rishi's advancement, King Indra came before him in the guise of a warrior. Indra handed the Brahmana a sword and requested, "Please keep this for me carefully until I return for it." The rishi consented, and thereafter, remaining true to his vow, he always kept the sword with him, even when he went into the forest to collect fruits and roots. As a result, the rishi's mind gradually became tinged with the desire for cruelty. He gradually gave up his execution of austerities in exchange for a life of violence. In this way, the rishi became degraded and attained a hellish destination after death. Therefore, my dear husband, since that Brahmana was vanquished simply by the association of Indra's sword, I request that you keep your bow in hand only to kill the Rakshasas that are harassing the rishis. Please do not kill even the innocent Rakshasas, or to speak of other creatures. Although I know it is not my position to instruct you, I pray that you give my words careful thought afterwards. Please do what you think is best. Rama replied, "Dear Sita, I certainly appreciate your words which are full of wisdom. I know that it is only because you love me that you have thus advised me, thinking only of my welfare. Unless one is dear, he is never given such frank counsel. O daughter of Janaka, the rishis could easily kill the Rakshasas themselves. However, they do not do so, for it would diminish their stock of acquired ascetic merit. For this reason, I have promised to kill all the Rakshasas in the Dandkarna forest. Even if I were to somehow renounce you or Lakshmana, I could never give up the promise to the Brahmanas." Rama, Sita and Lakshmana arrived at a large beautiful lake. As they drew near, they heard the sound of singing, seeming to come from somewhere within the lake's waters. However, no one could be seen there. At that time, a rishi named Dharma Bharat happened by, and Ram asked him about the mysterious singing. "This lake," the rishi began, "is known as Panchapsara and was originally created by the sage Mandakarni with his mystic power. Once Mandakarni Rishi performed austerities on the shore of this lake for 10,000 years, subsisting only on air. The demigods became very fearful, thinking that the rishi was desirous of occupying one of their posts. Thus, they deputed 5 apsaras to divert Mandakini from his austerities. The rishi indeed became captivated by the woman and married them all. After this, the rishi created a secret house within the water and retired there to reside with his wives. The sound you're hearing is the music of the apsaras. Even today, they constantly serve the rishi, who has regained his youth by utilizing his ascetic prowess." Ram, Sita and Lakshmana went on, wandering from ashram to ashram within the Dandkarna forest. They would stay at each hermitage for a week, a month, or longer, sometimes even a year. In this way, 10 years of Rama's exile passed comfortably and contentedly. After this time, the 3 wanderers returned to the hermitage of Sutikshna to reside. While one day conversing with Sutikshna, Rama said, "I have heard that the great sage Agastya lives somewhere in Dandkarna, but I could not find him within the vast forest. I would like to offer my respect to the rishi and receive his blessings. Please direct me to his ashrama." After taking directions from Sutikshna, Ram departed, accompanied by Sita and Lakshmana. Then as they came to the vicinity of Agastya Rishi's ashrama, Ram narrated the following history. Once there were 2 Rakshasa brothers named Vatapi and Ilvala. Ilvala would take the form of a Brahmana, and speaking in Sanskrit, he would invite some real Brahmanas to memorial ceremony. Before the arrival of the Brahmanas, Ilvala would have Vatapi take the form of a ram. Then, after cooking his brother, Ilvala would feed him to the invited Brahmanas. When Vatapi thus entered the Brahmana's stomachs, Ilvala would loudly call, "Oh, my brother, please come out now!" Being summoned, Vatapi would tear open the Brahmana's stomachs and come out bleating like a ram. In this way, the two Rakshasas killed thousands of Brahmanas. Finally, at the request of the demigods, Agastya Muni went there as an invited guest. Agastya ate Vatapi in the form of a ram, but then, when Ilvala called for his brother, the rishis informed him, "I have already digested Vatapi and sent him to the abode of Yamaraja." When Ilvala heard this, he tried to attack Agastya in a fit of rage. However, the rishi burnt him to ashes with his angry glance. Thereafter, because the Rakshasas feared Agastya Muni, his ashrama remained free from attack. When Ram entered Agastya Rishi's ashram, sitting places were prepared and they were provided with a suitable welcome. After finishing their meal, Agastya presented Ram with the bow of Vishnu that had been constructed by Vishwakarma, along with two inexhaustible quivers from Lord Indra, an infallible arrow, and a gold inlaid sword from Lord Brahma. Then, turning to Sita, Agastya praised her, saying, "You have earned eternal glory by voluntarily accepting such hardship for the sake of your husband. This is specially meritorious, since it has been the nature of woman since the dawn of creation to love a man only for as long as he is prosperous." Thereafter, Ram asked Agastya to suggest a place for residence. After some contemplation, the rishi recommended him to go to Panchavati, 16 miles away, near the banks of the river Godavari. Then, just before Rama's departure, Agastya confided, "I already know about your entire life by dint of yogic perception, which has been enhanced by my love for you." After leaving the Rishi's ashram, travelling on the way to Panchavati, Ram, Sita and Lakshmana came about Jatayu, the gigantic king of the vultures. Thinking at first that he may be a Rakshasa, Ram inquired about his identity. With words, Jatayu replied, "My dear child, I was a good friend of your father. Long ago, Kashyapa married 8 daughters of Daksha. From Vinata, Aruna was born. From Tamasa, Seni took birth. I am the son of Aruna and his wife Seni, and my name is Jatayu. My dear Ram, please accept me as your sincere servant, since there are many fierce Rakshasas inhabiting this forest. Whenever you and Lakshmana leave your cottage, I will watch over Sita." Because of Jatayu's previous relationship with his father, Ram respectfully bowed to Jatayu. The vulture king then accompanied them to Panchavati, keeping a watchful eye the entire time. Arriving at Panchavati, Ram selected a suitable site for building the cottage, saying, "It will be good to make our residence at a site near a lake or river, for water and greenery together create the ideal scenic beauty." Ram selected a site near the banks of the Godavari and an adjacent lake beautifully adorned with pink and blue lotuses. The land there was flat, giving an unobstructed view of the entire area. The cries of swans and waterfowl could be heard from the river, along with those of peacocks, echoing from caves of the nearby hills. After building a suitable cottage there, they consecrated it with flower offerings, and Rama happily entered it. As winter gradually set in, the morning sunshine became pleasing to the sense of touch. One morning, just after Ram and Lakshman had returned from bathing in the river and were conversing about their religious duties, a Rakshasi happened on the scene. Upon seeing Rama, her heart immediately became saturated with love. With his glowing dark greenish blue complexion and lotus petal eyes, Ram appeared to be the god of love himself in human form. The Rakshasi, however, had an extremely ugly face, a large protruding belly, withered breasts, deformed eyes, and copper-colored hair, whereas Ram's body was youthful and well-proportioned, muscular, and bearing all signs of royalty. The Rakshasi's body was quite hideous and on the brink of middle age. Although she could change her form at will, she became so passionate upon seeing Ram that she forgot to change her revolting appearance. She approached Ram saying, "My dear handsome one, please tell me who you are and why you have come to the forest just like a hermit. Indeed, you are dressed in the garb of an ascetic and are wearing matted locks of hair. Yet, you are wielding a bow and keeping a woman. Why have you come to this Rakshasa-infested region? Please tell me who you are, and I will fulfill all your desires." In reply, Ram explained the incidents leading to his exile. He then asked the Rakshasi who she was. The love-stricken demoness replied, "Hear the real truth, O lotus-eyed one. My name is Supanakha, the sister of Ravana, Kumbhakarna, Vibhishana, Khara, and Dushana. I live in this forest, strike fear into the hearts of all creatures. Although my brothers are powerful, I surpass them all. I must frankly say, I have become overwhelmed with love for you. My mind is made up to have you for my husband. Give up your ugly deformed wife, for she is not worthy of a great hero like yourself. I am very powerful and can travel at will. Thus, I am a suitable partner for you. First, though, I will devour the flat-bellied Sita and your brother Lakshmana. Then we will be free to revel together in the hills and valleys of the beautiful Dankarna forest." As the Rakshasi looked upon him with love-filled eyes, Ram laughed heartily at her proposal. Ram then jokingly said, "I am an already married man, and certainly a young and beautiful girl like you could not tolerate living with a co-wife. My brother, however, who is an even greater hero than myself, is without a wife. Therefore, I suggest that you marry him." Supnaka took Ram's words seriously and left his side to face Lakshmana. Saturated with lusty desires, she said, "My dear handsome hero, you are indeed even more powerful and attractive than your brother. Therefore, I consider you to be even more suitable for me. Come, make me your wife, and we shall roam together through the forest, enjoying conjugal bliss." Sorry. Lakshmana smilingly replied, "O soft-skinned and lovely-limbed lady, you should know that I am simply the servant of my elder brother. Thus, if you were to marry me, it would mean that you would be no better than his maidservant. I think you would be much better off by becoming Ram's second wife, for in time he'll surely discard the aging and misshapen Sita and accept you alone. You have such a lovely face, always adorned with sweet smiles. Your ample breasts, slender waist, and wide hips will make a man forget all other women. Who could resist you? Marry Rama, and he will cast aside his ugly wife." Supnaka was too simple-minded to understand that Ram and Lakshmana were joking with her. Thus she again turned to Ram, saying, "You are overly attached to the ugly Sita. Thus I will eat her up at once and forcibly take you as my husband." Saying this, Supnaka rushed at Sita. However, Ram checked her, telling Lakshmana, "You should not joke with this Rakshasi in a way that endangers Sita. Now disfigure her in a way that will teach her a lesson." Upon Ram's order, Lakshmana drew his sword, swiftly slicing off Supnaka's nose and ears as his elder brother looked on. Supnaka screamed out in agony. Bleeding profusely, she fled into the forest. She quickly went to Janasthana, where her brother Khara lived along with many other Rakshasas. Frightened and smeared with blood, Supnaka threw herself at her brother's feet, weeping bitterly. Then, as Khara looked on, his sister incoherently tried to explain what had happened. Seeing his sister's disfigurement, Khara's heart became filled with horror and rage. Breathing like a trampled snake, Khara said, "Oh, sister, please get up and calm yourself. Compose yourself so you can clearly tell me what has happened to you. Who has dared to injure you? Does he not realize that he has drunk poison by doing this? There is not a demigod, demon, Gandharva or Rishi who can harm you and escape with his life. Point out the culprit, I shall drink his blood with my sharp arrows." Sobbing bitterly, Suparnika replied, "There are two brothers named Rama and Lakshmana staying nearby in the Dandakarna forest. I do not know whether they are demigods or demons. However, since they have mutilated my face, I will only become satisfied after drinking their blood." Khara then called for 14 of the most powerful Rakshasas and sent them out with Suparnika to kill Rama, Lakshmana and Sita. As the Rakshasas approached, Ram was sitting in the cottage with Sita, while Lakshmana guarded the doorway. Seeing the hideous man-eaters, Rama ordered Lakshmana, "Stay here with Sita while I fight these Rakshasas." Rama then called out to the Rakshasas, "We have come to this forest at the request of the rishis, who seek our protection from your atrocities. We are living a life of austerity, eating only fruits and roots. Why have you come here to disturb us? Turn back now, if you at all value your lives." Surprised at being challenged so courageously, the Rakshasas stared at Ram with blood-red eyes, saying, "Our master Khara is very angry with you and has ordered us to kill you. How can you hope to fight with so many of us? In a moment, we shall crush you with our weapons and you will be dead." The Rakshasas rushed at Ram with uplifted weapons. However, with 14 arrows, Ram cut their weapons to pieces. With 14 more, he pierced their hearts. Thus, like trees whose trunks had been severed, the Rakshasas fell down to the ground dead, bathed in their own blood. Shaking with fear, Suparnika fled back to her brother's abode and informed him of the slaughter. "You tried to comfort me by sending these Rakshasas to kill Rama and Lakshmana, but they have killed all the Rakshasas species. Now you must go yourself to kill Rama and Lakshmana. If you do not gain revenge for what they have done to me, then I will give up my life out of shame." Saying this, Suparnika fell to the ground, overwhelmed with grief, and began beating her belly, bursting into tears. Hearing his sister's harsh words, Khara became enraged, uttering a vow. "Give up your sorrow, my sister. I promise to kill Rama and Lakshmana this very day so that you may drink their blood." Hearing this, Suparnika became somewhat pacified. Khara then ordered his brother Dushasana to bring his chariot and weapons and to assemble their army of 14,000 Rakshasas. Then Khara mounted his chariot and departed for the Dandakarna forest with his Rakshasa army. As the Rakshasas proceeded, dark clouds showered rain mixed with blood upon them, causing Khara's horses to fall down on the road. A vulture came and perched upon Khara's flax standard, while a dark red aura dimmed the light of the sun. Then, as jackals howled frightfully, darkness set in, and Rahu covered the sun, although not in an eclipse. All the while, Khara's left army trembled violently, and his voice became hoarse and faint. Still, despite witnessing all these harbingers of evil, Khara laughed, saying, "Ha, Rakshasas! Because of my great prowess, I do not care for any of these so-called inauspicious omens." Meanwhile, all the great demigods and rishis assembled in the sky to witness the impending battle. As the Rakshasas approached, Ram described to Lakshmana the auspicious sign he had perceived. "My arrows are feeling joyful, my bow is stirring with delight, and my right arm is throbbing. My dear brother, take Sita at once to a mountain cave and watch over her carefully while I massacre these Rakshasas." After Lakshmana and Sita had departed, Ram put on his suit of blazing golden armor. Then, when the Rakshasas advanced toward him while roaring ferociously, Ram summoned his all-devouring anger and assumed a dreadful form. As the Rakshasa army summoned Ram, Khar released 1,000 arrows, while other Rakshasas showered innumerable weapons such as clubs, spears, swords, and axes. Ram, however, easily cut those weapons to pieces with his arrows. Even though deeply cut and bleeding, he appeared not to feel any pain. Rama then released thousands of arrows at the Rakshasas, cutting off their bows, flags, shields, armor, and bodily limbs. Indeed, many of the Rakshasas fell down dead. Along with the elephants and horses, the chariots smashed to pieces. At that, the Rakshasas became further enraged and countered by showering their weapons upon Rama in even great profusion. Rama, however, again cut their weapons to pieces with his arrows and killed many Rakshasas by piercing their hearts. He severed many of their grotesque heads from their gigantic trunks. Upon seeing this, the remaining Rakshasas fled in fear to the shelter of Khara. In great anger, Dushan suddenly rushed at Ram. In great anger, Dushan suddenly rushed at Ram. Many Rakshasas followed him, encouraged by his valor. In response, Ram took up the best of Gandharva weapons. Thus, from his bow came many thousands of arrows, which soon covered the sun, engulfing the battle scene in darkness. From those arrows, thousands of Rakshasas were cut to pieces, and their dismembered corpses collected in tall heaps. Dushan then rallied his army, urging the remaining 5,000 Rakshasas to attack Ram. In the fight that ensued, Dushan fought heroically, and when Ram saw that the brother of Khara successfully counteracted his arrows, he became extremely angry. Taking up a blazing arrow, Ram cut Dushan's bow in half. Then with 4 more arrows, he killed the Rakshasas' horses. With another arrow, Ram severed the head of Dushan's driver, and with 3 more arrows, pierced the Rakshasa's chest. Although in great pain, Dushan jumped down from his disabled chariot and took up a spiked club. He then rushed headlong toward Ram, intent on killing him. However, with just 2 arrows, Ram quickly severed Dushan's arms, and then firing 1 more, he killed the terrible Rakshasa. Seeing Dushan fall, the remainder of his army rushed towards Ram, seeking revenge. Working at the speed of mind, Ram released 5,000 arrows in a steady stream, like so many blazing meteors. Thus the 5,000 Rakshasa soldiers soon lay slaughtered on the ground. Seeing this great massacre, Khara ordered his few remaining soldiers to attack. Ram, however, made short work of them. Thus the Dandkarna forest became a sea of reddish mud from the blood of the 14,000 slain Rakshasas, with only Khar and Trishara remaining alive. As Khara prepared to attack Ram, his general Trishara begged him for permission to fight first. Khara agreed, and thus the 3-headed Rakshasa came towards Ram, showering him with arrows. When some of the arrows pierced Ram's forehead, Ram became enraged and quickly retaliated by killing Trishara's horses and driver and knocking down his flag. Then, as Trishara attempted to jump down from his disabled chariot, Ram pierced his heart with a fiery arrow and cut his 3 heads off with 3 more. Khara rallied the few remaining Rakshasas that had survived and fearfully attacked Rama. During the fierce duel that ensued, the streams of arrows so completely covered the sky that the sun became invisible. Then, bringing his chariot close by, Khar dexterously cut Ram's bow in two. Next, Khar released 1,000 arrows that shattered Ram's armor, which fell to the ground in pieces. Although his arms were deeply cut, Ram calmly strung the bow of Lord Vishnu. Ram then cut down Khara's emblem, but the Rakshasa retaliated with 4 arrows that bathed Ram in his own blood. Becoming more enraged, Ram quickly released 6 arrows that pierced Khara's head, arms, and chest. Then with 13 more, Ram killed Khara's 4 horses, severed the driver's head, cut off his opponent's bow, and smashed his chariot. The last arrow, which appeared as dazzling as lightning, pierced Khara's chest, making him fall back senseless. Khara, however, quickly recovered and jumped down from his ruined chariot. Then he stood before Ram, club in hand. Ram chastised him, saying, "You cruel and sinful Rakshasa, since you have dedicated your life to giving pain to others, you are thoroughly condemned. To punish you, I shall now strike off your head this very hour." This merely enraged Khara further. He screamed at Ram, "You vile wretch! Those who are actually heroes do not brag about their prowess." Khara hurled his gigantic mace at Ram. The blazing club burned to ashes all the trees and bushes that stood in its path. However, Ram's arrow easily broke the club to pieces as it soared through the air. Then the two again exchanged harsh words, and Khara, looking for a weapon to attack Ram with, uprooted a huge tree. Whirling it around and around, Khara released the tree at Ram, shouting, "You are killed." Ram, however, easily cut the tree to pieces. Then, desiring to end the battle, Ram released 1,000 arrows. With blood flowing from nearly every pore of his body, Khar made a final rush towards Rama. As he did, Ram selected a blazing arrow which entered Khar's chest and burst into flames. Finally, the Rakshasa fell to the ground dead. The demigods became overjoyed witnessing Ram's victory from the airplanes in the sky. As they beat on drums and showered flowers, the demigod glorified Ram for his astonishing feat of killing all the Rakshasas single-handedly in such a short time. Great rishis headed by Agastya appeared before Ram and said, "When Indra previously visited Sarabhanga, it was to arrange for your killing these Rakshasas. That is why the Rishi advised you to dwell in this region." Thereafter, Sita and Lakshmana came out from the cave they were sheltered in, and upon seeing Ram safe and sound, Sita ran to embrace him with great joy. One Rakshasa named Akampana, who had somehow escaped the massacre, went to Ravana's abode in Lanka and informed Ravana of the death of his two brothers. Upon hearing the news, Ravana became red with rage, shouting, "Who dares to offend me in this way, bringing about his own death? No one can save him now, not even Indra, Yamaraja, or Vishnu. Tell me at once, who has dared to make me so angry?" Fearful of Ravana's wrath, Akampana begged Ravana, "My dear lord, I shall gladly answer questions. However, please promise that you will not become angry toward me for my truthful speech." Thus, after gaining Ravana's assurance, Akampana explained, "The 14,000 Rakshasas, including your two brothers, were killed by a human being named Rama, the son of King Dasharatha." Ravana then inquired, "Was this Rama accompanied by all the demigods?" Akampana replied, "Oh, no, my lord. This Rama killed all the Rakshasas single-handed, without even taking help from his younger brother. Indeed, Rama is so powerful that he accomplished this awesome task in a very short time, less than 2 hours. No one could stand before Rama. When he became enraged, it appeared as if the entire universe would be destroyed." Ravana angrily declared, "I shall go to Jarasthan at once and kill this Ram and Lakshmana. Then we will see what kind of heroes they really are." But Akampana warned Ravana, "Please do not act hastily, underestimating the power of Rama. He is capable of annihilating the entire universe and again recreating it. Even if the demigods and demons all combined together, I do not think they could kill Rama. Therefore, O Lord, do not consider attacking him with force. There is, however, another way that I think could provide the means for Rama's death. The wife of Rama, named Sita, is incomparably incomparably beautiful, with a face that is lovelier and fairer than thousands of moons. Indeed, she is the very emblem of feminine attractiveness and the perfection of womanly chastity and behavior. I think that without Sita, Rama could no longer bear to live. Therefore, I suggest that you go to kidnap her. Ravana immediately likened this idea, and after reflecting momentarily, he responded, "Your suggestion is brilliant. I shall go to Panchvati tomorrow on my chariot and carry Sita away by force with great pleasure." After dismissing Akampana, Ravana went to the hermitage of Tataka's son Maricha. After receiving Ravana with great respect and washing his feet, Maricha inquired, "O Lord of the Rakshasas, your surprise visit here fills my mind with misgiving. I know that you would not have come personally unless the matter were most important." Ravana replied, "You are certainly correct. A human being named Rama has completely annihilated my army of Rakshasas posted at Janasthana. Ram's brother Lakshmana had disfigured my sister Supanaka, causing Khara and Dushan to retaliate. I considered my two brothers invincible, but they have been slain along with all their soldiers. I need your help, Maricha, because I plan to kidnap Ram's wife, Sita." With great shock and horror, Maricha responded, "Whoever has given you this idea and your worst enemy in the guise of a friend? Oh Ravana, if you try to carry out this foolish plan, it will only result in your destruction, for Ram has inconceivable prowess on the level of Lord Vishnu himself. Rama is like a fathomless ocean. Crocodiles are his bow, and whirlpools are his mighty arms. The releasing of his arrows is like the constant flowing of waves. The span of the ocean from shore to shore is a battlefield wherein his enemies drown. O king of the Rakshasas, it would be far better for you to control your wrath and return to Lanka. Enjoy yourself there along with your wives, and let Ram enjoy with his wife in the Dandkarna forest. Otherwise, you will bring disaster down upon your own head." Taking Maricha's advice, Ravana returned to his magnificent palace at Lanka. Meanwhile, Supanaka, having witnessed the slaughter of all the Rakshasas at Janasthana, went to Lanka to see her brother Ravana. Ravana had 10 heads and 20 arms, and his body bore many scars from former conflicts, including those inflicted by Lord Vishnu's Sudarshan Chakra. Once Ravana had attacked Bhogavati, the capital of the Nagas. After defeating the serpents Vasuki and Takshaka, he took away Takshaka's wife by force. Then, after conquering Kuvera, Ravana took possession of his Pushpak chariot. Then, simply out of spite, he destroyed some of the heavenly gardens. Long ago, Ravana had performed severe austerities at the end of 10,000 years, and at the end of 10,000 years, he began offering his 10 heads in sacrifice to Lord Brahma. Being pleased with Ravana, Lord Brahma awarded him immunity from the death at the hand of all living creatures, excepting human beings. After receiving this benediction, the puffed up Ravana began killing Brahmanas and disrupting their sacrifices. Thus he became a thorn in the side of the demigods, who fervently prayed to Lord Vishnu for his destruction. Ravana was seated in an ornate golden throne within his 7-story palace when Supnaka came into his presence and revealed her disfigured face. Greatly agitated, she said, "My dear brother, are you so absorbed in sense gratification that you fail to recognize the grave danger at hand? When the king is only interested in his own vulgar enjoyment and doesn't pay attention to state affairs, everyone comes to despise him. Haven't your spies reported how Rama single-handedly slaughtered 14,000 Rakshasas at Janasthan, including your two brothers? You are a useless king, and I predict that you will not remain on the throne for long." Ravana became inflamed by the prodding from his sister, especially as she did it in front of his ministers. Barely controlling his anger, he inquired from her, "Who is this Ram and what is his strength? Was it he that deformed you like this? Speak now, for I want to know everything." Supnaka replied, "With his long, powerful arms and large eyes shaped like lotus petals, Ram appears to be the god of love himself. His complexion has a dark greenish blue hue, and is strongly built like a lion. His bow is as effulgent as a rainbow, and when he stretches it to full length, he shoots golden arrows that resemble venomous snakes, releasing them so fast that you can't tell whether he's pulling out the arrow or shooting it. Although he is the most heroic Kshatriya, he is dressed himself in tree bark and deer skin and keeps matted hair. He killed the entire army of Rakshasas at Janasthan with a volley of arrows. He has such exceptional strength that he has even subdued Khara and Dushana. I am sure he could divert the current of a river or bring down the stars and planets from the heavens. Rama's younger brother is Lakshmana, and he was the one who cut off my nose and ears under his elder brother's instructions. The wife of Rama is named Sita, and she is exactly like the goddess of fortune. She has large, dark eyes, and the beauty of her face surpasses that of many moons. Her smooth skin is the color of molten gold, and her slim waist, graceful hips, and full breast make her incomparably beautiful. O Ravana, there is no other woman like Sita. If you were to see her, you would fall madly in love, for she would make a perfect wife for you. I intended to capture her to bring to you, but instead I was disfigured by Lakshmana. Now, my dear brother, you should go and kidnap Sita. That is, if you truly are as powerful a hero as you think." When he heard about the lovely Sita, Ravana became fully determined to possess her. He again mounted his chariot, and after crossing the sea, went to the ashrama of Maricha, who was dressed like a rishi, engaged in performing austerities. Maricha inquired from Ravana respectfully, "O king, what is the reason for your early return to my residence?" Ravana replied, After hearing of Ram's slaughtering the Rakshasas at Janasthan, I have not found a moment's peace. I have therefore made up my mind to kidnap Sita, and I want you to help me. To this end, I have devised a very clever plan. I want you to take the form of a golden deer freckled with silver spots. Afterwards, go out into the forest and play in front of Sita. She will surely become captivated by such wonderful creature and desire to have it as a pet. After you prance playfully before her, lead Ram astray. Once you have done this, I will come and kidnap Sita, taking her back to Lanka. Thereafter, when Ram becomes aggrieved and emaciated due to separation from his beloved wife, I will easily be able to slay him." Upon hearing the name of Rama, Maricha became greatly fearful. His mouth dried up, and staring with unblinking eyes, Maricha addressed Ravana with folded hands. "O Lord, if you try to carry out this plan, it shall surely cause the destruction of all the Rakshasas and your kingdom of Lanka. Beware of your lusty nature and ignorance of Rama's prowess. You are foolishly rushing down towards your own doom. Please hear from me of Rama's supreme potency before you act blindly and bring about your own destruction. Previously, I used to wander about the earth, club in hand, feeling very proud of my superhuman strength. I subsisted upon the flesh of rishis in the Dandkarna forest. Out of fear, Vishwamitra approached King Dasharatha to solicit Ram's help for protecting his sacrificial performances. Thereafter, while Ram guarded Vishwamitra's sacrificial arena, I ignorantly went there with the intention of disrupting the proceedings. However, with just one arrow, Ram hurled me 800 miles into the ocean and then killed the other Rakshasas accompanying me. When I regained consciousness, having thus been spared by Rama, I returned to Lanka, but was still not cured of my false pride. Taking the form of a large carnivorous stag with a flaming tongue, I returned to the Dandkarna forest and roamed about, drinking the blood of the rishis. As it happened, I again came upon Rama, who was wandering in the Dandkarna forest with Lakshmana and Sita. With the bitter memory of my past defeat in my mind, and considering how Rama had accepted a life of renunciation, I was determined to gain revenge. However, when I rushed at him, Ram released 3 arrows. My 2 companions were killed instantly, and I fled for my life. I think my life was spared only because Ram's arrow do not kill one who flees from the battlefield. Ever since that time, I have been consumed with fear of Rama. As a result, my inclination for violence and fighting has vanished. Having given up all malice towards others, I have taken to an ascetic life of yoga practice. However, I fail to obtain peace of mind, for whenever I happen to glance upon a tree, I think that it is Rama dressed in tree bark. Thus the entire forest appears to have become transformed into innumerable Ramas. Because of this, whenever I look anywhere, I become terrified. Sometimes I see Rama in my dreams, and I immediately wake up, my heart thumping in terror. Indeed, I have become so afraid of Rama that whenever I hear a word beginning with the letter R, such as Ratha or Ratna, my heart trembles with fear. O king, for your own welfare as well as for mine, I advise you to forget kidnapping Sita. Aside from fearing Ram, why should you perform such a sinful act? There is no offense more punishable than the abduction of another's wife. Remain satisfied with your thousands of wives and save your dignity, fortune, kingdom, and life itself. Having listened patiently, Ravana replied, Now you must listen, Maricha. I did not come for your advice. I came to obtain your help in executing my plan to kidnap Sita. As my minister, is your duty to give advice only when asked, and to obey my orders without question. I have made up my mind, and nothing can deter me. I want you to take the form of a deer to charm Sita. Then, when she begs Ram to capture you, lead him deep into the forest and call out, Oh Sita, oh Lakshman. When he thinks about his brother is in difficulty, Lakshmana will leave Sita aside to go help him. Just perform this small service, and in return, I will reward you with half of my kingdom. However, if you refuse, then I shall kill you myself this very day. It is your choice. You may take certain death at my hands or possible death at the hand of Rama. Make up your mind. Maricha, however, boldly declared, Flatterers are quite easy to come by, my lord. Rare is that person who will speak unpleasant words for the benefit of others. A minister should always give good advice, even if uncalled for, especially when the king is misguided. Unfortunately, however, one who is about to die is never willing to take good advice. O king, if we carry out your plan, I am certain that both of us will end up dead. Still, I would rather die at the hands of an exalted enemy on the battlefield than be killed by you here. Therefore, let us depart at once. Ravana was pleased that Maricha saw the wisdom of his ultimatum. He embraced Maricha, and they mounted Ravana's aerial chariot and departed. After flying over numerous forests, rivers, towns, and fields, they landed in the Dandkarna forest near where Rama, Sita, and Lakshmana were residing. Upon descending from the chariot, Maricha immediately transformed himself into a beautiful deer. Then going to Ram's cottage, he began to prance playfully to and fro. Maricha's deer form had numerous jewel-like silver spots, with the tips of its horns appearing like sapphires. Its mouth appeared like a pinkish lotus flower, its tail like a rainbow, and its ears were bright blue. Indeed, The magical deer appeared to have been constructed from many variety of valuable jewels. With a dazzling luster, the deer seemed to illuminate the entire area surrounding the cottage. Sometimes it nibbled at the grass, and sometimes it frolicked among the trees. At that time, Sita was gathering flowers. Seeing her, Maricha in the form of a deer leapt, ran, crouched, and turned, eager to attract her attention. All the other deer in the area fled away on catching the scent of the disguised Rakshasa. The magical deer came close to Sita and bounded in front of her. Sita became captivated with wonder and enchantment, for she had never before seen such a wonderful deer. With wide open eyes she called out, "O Rama! O Lakshmana! Come quickly!" As Sita stood with eyes fixed, Rama and Lakshmana also beheld the magical deer. Lakshmana, however, was wary. "This might be a trick," he said. "The Rakshasa Maricha is known to take such animal forms just to entice and waylay kings who come to the forest to hunt." Sita interrupted Lakshmana, for her intelligence had already become deluded by watching the magical deer created by the Rakshasa's mystical prowess. "Oh Rama," she said, "please catch this deer, for it has caught my fancy. Such a deer would make a lovely pet for me and provide a welcome diversion from our dreary forest existence. Please go quickly and catch this deer. I will take it back with us when we return to Ayodhya at the end of our exile. Surely it will delight Bharat and our mothers. Please, Rama, I want so much to have it to play with. It is so lovely, and its smooth skin shines like the moon. Oh, my husband, if you cannot capture it alive, at least find and kill it so that I might have its beautiful jewel-like hide for a rug. Perhaps you think me a foolish woman, but I must have this deer. I have become completely enchanted by its beauty." Rama was delighted to have the chance to fulfill Sita's desire, and he too was captivated by the deer's mysterious beauty. He told Lakshmana, "Sita is enthralled with this deer, and I must bring it for her. Look at its tongue, which darts like a flame or lightning from a cloud. Nowhere is such a deer to be found, not even in the heavenly gardens. This deer's splendor will cost it its life. I will make a carpet of its spotted golden skin, so Sita and I can enjoy sitting together upon it. And if, as you say, this deer is actually Maricha, then killing it will be beneficial for all the rishis that reside in this forest. Oh, Lakshmana, stay here with bow in hand until I return. Keep a careful watch over Sita." Rama took up a sword, bow, and 2 quivers, whereupon Maricha suddenly vanished from sight. As Rama entered the forest, the deer once again came into view, then ran away swiftly, while frequently looking backwards. Again, the deer came close to Rama, as if tempting him to capture it. As Rama rushed toward the deer, however, it disappeared from sight. In this way, Maricha lured Ram far away from his cottage. Confused by the deer's puzzling movements, Rama felt helpless and frustrated. Finally, feeling exhausted from the chase, Rama rested for a while beneath a tree. Then, once again, the deer suddenly appeared close by. However, just when Rama rose up to capture it, the deer mysteriously vanished. Out of frustration, Ram gave up the idea of trying to capture the deer alive. Thus, when it next appeared at some distance, Rama pulled out a blazing arrow of Lord Brahma and released it to kill the deer. Maricha jumped high, trying to avoid Ram's arrow, but it pierced his heart nonetheless. As Maricha fell to the ground mortally wounded, he assumed his real form as a Rakshasa. Then, remembering Ram's instructions, Maricha imitated Ram's voice and called out in great distress, "Oh Sita! Oh Lakshmana!" Maricha then gave up his life. And upon hearing his call, Ram became dejected, wondering, what will Sita and Lakshmana think? A terrible fear entered Ram's heart as he rushed back to his cottage. Meanwhile, when Sita heard the voice of Maricha, she thought that Ram was crying out for help. In panic, she turned to Lakshmana, urging, "Go quickly to Rama and find out what has happened." That was Rama crying out for help. "He needs you. Oh Lakshmana, my heart is throbbing and I can hardly breathe. I think the Rakshasas must have overwhelmed Rama." With Rama's order to guard Sita firmly in mind, Lakshmana did not move away. His seeming indifference upset Sita even more, impelling her to chastise Lakshmana with harsh words. "Why do you just stand there? Do you want Rama to die? It has now become evident that you are merely the enemy of your elder brother in the guise of a friend. I think you wish Ram to die so you may enjoy me as you like. Otherwise, you would surely rush to his rescue. Go quickly, Lakshmana. What is the use of me remaining alive and safe while my husband is in danger?" As Sita sobbed and trembled with fear, Lakshmana replied, "Try to control yourself. Rest assured, no one can even harm Ram. Neither the Rakshasas, nor Indra, nor all the demigods can harm him. I am convinced the voice you heard was the conjuring trick of Maricha made to frighten us. Ram has ordered me to protect you. Therefore, I must stay here and obey him." Sita was by now almost deranged with anxiety, and Lakshmana's words only aroused her anger more. Her eyes, red with rage, Sita raved, "You shameless and wicked man! I think you are enjoying Ram's misfortune. Otherwise, why would you speak so casually? You have only been pretending to be your elder brother's humble servant. The real reason you have accompanied Ram to the forest was to look for an opportunity to kill him and fulfill your lusty desires to enjoy me. Perhaps your birth's agent. In any case, you will never obtain the fulfillment of your sinful desires. Do you really think I would accept you after having been the wife of lotus-eyed Ram? I would rather die. Indeed, without Ram, I cannot bear to live for a moment." Sita's words speared Lakshmana's heart as if they were sharp arrows. With folded hands, the horrified Lakshmana replied, "O Princess of Mithila, you are like a deity to me. Thus I cannot speak harshly in reply. I know that it is the nature of women to create trouble and discord between friends. Indeed, women are so fickle and hard-hearted that when they become obsessed with some desire, they give up all sense of morality. O daughter of King Janaka, you have goaded me with your sharp words, and so I will go to Ram as you demand. However, because I see terrible omens foreboding great evil, I fear that when I return with Rama, we will no longer find you here." With great agitation, Sita said, "If Rama is killed, then I shall jump off a cliff, drown myself, or take poison. I would rather die than be touched by another man." Inflamed with rage by Sita's harsh words, Lakshmana was torn between duty and his inner desire to see Rama. Thus, as Sita continued to malign him, Lakshmana reluctantly departed, allowing Ravan his eager-awaited opportunity. Dressed in saffron cloth, his hair tied in a knot on top of his head, wearing golden wooden sandals and carrying an umbrella over his right shoulder and a staff and water pot in his left hand, Ravana came before Sita in the guise of a wandering mendicant. Sitting inside her cottage, Sita was crying, shedding tears of grief in Rama's absence as Ravana appeared at her doorway. Out of fear, the wind ceased blowing, the leaves on the trees in the forest stopped fluttering, and the waters of the Godavari became hushed. While chanting Vedic mantras, Ravana approached Sita. As he stared at her, his heart became pierced by Cupid's arrows. Then, hoping to charm her, Ravana spoke to Sita. "Who are you, O lovely lady, residing all alone in this terrible forest? Are you the goddess of modesty, Hiri, the goddess of fame, Kirti, the goddess of mystic powers, Bhuti, or the goddess of love, Rati? Perhaps you are Lakshmi herself, now bereft of your lotus flower. Your smooth white teeth are like a row of jasmine birds, and your dark eyes resemble two bumblebees that hover over your lotus-like face. Your thighs are tapered and graceful like the trunks of elephants, and your hips are rounded and ample. Your firm, abundant breasts seem to touch each other, and the nipples are pointed and prominent. Beneath them is a waist so slim that a thumb and index finger can circulate perfectly. No mortal or celestial woman can equal you in beauty, which has ravished my heart, like a swirling river that floods its banks. "O dark-eyed lady, why do you remain here when you could prosper elsewhere? You should reside in a palace, adorned with the finest dresses and jewels, attended by countless servants. Are you the wife of one of the Rudras, Maruts, or Vasus? Oh, sweet smiling one, choose a worthy husband and leave this jungle that abounds with ferocious animals." Even though addressed so boldly, Sita offered her guest a proper reception, not wishing to offend a Brahmana. After offering him a seat and water to wash his feet, Sita gave her guest a meal and explained, "Dear sir, my name is Sita, the daughter of the noble-minded King Janaka of Mithila. At the age of 9, I was married to my beloved husband Rama. Later, at the urging of his wife, my father-in-law King Dasharatha installed her son Bharat as heir apparent, banishing Ram to the forest for 14 years. Please tell me your name and ancestry and why you have come to the Dandkarna forest." No longer able to control his emotions, Ravana excitedly replied, "I am Ravana, the king of Rakshasas. Even great demigods tremble at the mere mention of my name. O faultless beautiful one, now that I have seen you, I could never again take delight in my other innumerable consorts. My dear Sita, become my principal queen, and you shall have 5,000 maidservants awaiting your command. Leave this forest and enjoy with me in the beautiful gardens of Lanka." Hearing Ravana, Sita became enraged. She contemptuously replied, "I am completely devoted to Rama, who is as steady as a rock, as grave as the ocean, and sheltering like a banyan tree. I am devoted to Rama, who is mighty armed and broad-chested, whose face resembles the full moon, and who is self-controlled and virtuous. Rama is a lion among men, and you are like a jackal. Want to possess me, a lioness? Would you dare touch the sun or lift up Mount Mandara? Would you pierce your eyes with a needle or carry a blazing fire in your garment? Would you attempt to swim across the ocean with a boulder tied to your neck? Then why do you dare consider running away with Rama's wife? Rama is Garuda, and you are but a crow. Rama is the ocean, and you a small puddle. Rama is nectar, and you are stale cruel. He is sandalwood, and you are mud. He is gold, and you are iron. Rama is a swan, and you are no better than a vulture. You may kidnap me, but as long as Rama lives, you could no more enjoy me than a fly that flounders in ghee." Although speaking boldly, Sita was shaking with fear. Thus, to further intimidate her, Ravana said, "Listen, my lovely lady, I am the half-brother of Kuvera, the lord of wealth. After vanquishing him, I took away his Pushpak chariot, and now he hides himself near Mount Kailasha. The demigods are all afraid of me, and wherever I go, the sunshine becomes like moonshine, the wind calms itself, and the rivers stop flowing. Forget Rama, for he is a mere mortal, doomed to soon perish. Come with me and enjoy heavenly delights. I passionately yearn for you. Do not disappoint me." Sita then replied, If you are truly Kuvera's brother, then why do you act with such wicked intentions? The ravisher of Indra's wife may survive, but whoever tries to molest me is doomed." Finally, Ravana lost all patience. In a fit of rage, he revealed his gigantic form as a fierce Rakshas with 10 heads, 20 arms, and sharp teeth. The king of Rakshasas then declared, "If you wish to have a husband who is renowned throughout the 3 worlds, then accept me, serve me, and I shall never displease you. Why are you so fond of Rama? Who has been banished to the forest?" Ravana then grabbed Sita by the hair with his left hand. As if summoned, Ravana's golden chariot came close by, and placing his right hand upon her thigh, the king of the Rakshasa took the frightened Sita in his arms and ascended into the sky. As they ascended, Sita cried out, "Rama! Rama! Come and save me! Punish this wretched Ravana!" In desperation, Sita called out to the trees, the river, birds, and animals, begging them to inform Rama that she had been abducted. Just then, Sita saw Jatayu sleeping while perched atop a tree. Sita called out to him, "Jatayu, please help me. Please go now and tell Rama that I have been kidnapped by the evil Ravana. Hearing Sita's cries, Jatayu awakened, and seeing how she was being roughly handled by Ravana, he challenged the king of Rakshasa, saying, "Oh, Ravana, I am Jatayu, the king of the vultures. How can you dare lay your hands on the wife of another? Beware, for you are carrying a poisonous snake in your arms. I am now 60,000 years old and without weapons, and you are young with many weapons. But I will not allow you to carry away Sita. I warn you, give up your evil intentions, or else prepare to be thrown from your chariot like a ripe fruit falling from a tree." Thus challenged, Ravana angrily rushed towards Jatayu. As the fighting began, it appeared that two great mountains were striking one another. Ravana threw many weapons at Jatayu, while the giant vulture gouged Ravana with his taloned feet. Although many powerful arrows pierced Jatayu, the sight of Sita crying upon Ravana's chariot enabled him to tolerate the pain. Jatayu warded off the onslaught of arrows with his wings and managed to break Ravana's bow with his feet. Gaining this advantage, Jatayu quickly cut off Ravana's armor, and with his sharp claws he killed the mules yoked to the chariot. He smashed the chariot to pieces while simultaneously decapitating Ravana's driver with his beak. His chariot broken, Ravana fell to the ground while tightly clasping Sita in his arms. As they witnessed this wonderful display of prowess, all the creatures watching applauded Jatayu's valor. However, Jatayu was old and soon became exhausted. Ravana rose up into the sky, holding Sita with one hand and bearing a sword with another. Condemning Ravana, Jatayu suddenly swooped down upon his back and began pulling at his hair so hard that the Rakshasa king's lips quivered with indignation. Pressing Sita tightly to his left thigh, Ravana struck back at Jatayu with the palm of his hand. Jatayu, however, dodged the blow and then tore off Ravana's 10 left arms with his powerful beak. Ravana's arms, however, were immediately replaced by new arms. Leaving Sita aside, the king of the Rakshasas began beating Jatayu with his fists and feet. The fighting continued for nearly an hour. Finally, in desperation, Ravana took up his sword and cut off Jatayu's wings, feet, and flanks, causing him to fall mortally wounded to the ground. Greatly distressed, Sita rushed to where Jatayu lay, embracing him with tears in her eyes. Ravana, however, quickly grabbed Sita by the hair and carried her off as she cried out in grief, "Rama, Rama!" Sita's cries caused the entire universe to fall out of order. Everything became enveloped in darkness. In empathy with Sita's grief, the wind no longer blew and the sun lost its luster. Lord Brahma, however, who could perceive the entire incident through divine eyes, declared, "Our purpose is now accomplished." Thereafter, as Ravana rose into the sky, Sita's ornaments broke apart, her jewels falling to the ground. The pearls from a necklace slipped from her breast like the pure water of the Ganga falling from the sky. Overwhelmed with fear and grief, Sita continuously struggled to free herself from Ravana's grip, reproaching him again and again for his wild, cowardly act. As Ravana sped towards Lanka, all creatures appeared to lament. "There is no dharma, there is no truth, there is no gentleness." Her loose hair waving in the wind, her mark of tilak erased, and her face devoid of cheer, Sita moaned, "Oh Rama, oh Lakshmana." Just then, Sita saw 5 monkey chiefs sitting atop a mountain. Unnoticed by Ravana, she took off her silk upper cloth and some jewels and dropped them in the midst of the forest dwellers, hoping they would inform Rama. As the monkeys stared with unblinking eyes, Ravana carried Sita away towards Lanka. Like many other powerful materialists, Ravana risked everything to gain the object of his desire. While carrying Sita across the ocean to his kingdom, he relished the thought of having successfully abducted her and eagerly anticipated making her his queen. Blinded by lust, he failed to realize that the object of his desire was actually death personified for him. The goddess of fortune always serves the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, and when materialists try to enjoy her, she manifests to them as Durga, the deadly material nature. As the mistress of this world, Durga rides a tiger and carries a trident whose prongs are the threefold miseries of material life: miseries arising from the body and mind, miseries inflicted by other living entities, and miseries imposed by higher powers in the form of natural disasters. Indeed, no one, not even the greatest scientist or conqueror, can counteract the suffering meted out by Durga. Thinking himself more powerful than God, Ravana dangerously ignored reality. After crossing the ocean, Ravana took Sita into the inner garments of his palace. There, he ordered his fierce Rakshasi attendants, "Watch over Sita most carefully and let no one see her face without my permission. Let her have gold, jewels, the best clothing, ornaments and food, whatever she may desire. However, take heed of my warning. Anyone who dares to utter one harsh word towards her will die by my hands." After this, Ravana called for 8 powerful Rakshasas, saying, "Ever since Ram killed all the Rakshasas at Janasthan, I have felt an intolerable enmity towards him. Indeed, I will not sleep peacefully until Rama is killed. Go now to Janasthan, and after spying on him, bring back any information that you may gather." Then again, Ravana went to see Sita, being overwhelmed with desire. Upon entering her quarters, he found her in a distressed state, surrounded by numerous Rakshasas. Bathed in her own tears, Sita appeared like a wind-buffeted boat at sea, or a doe strayed from its herd and surrounded by dogs. Although she was unwilling, Ravana forced Sita to accompany him on a tour of his palace. The opulent palace resembled that of the demigods, with thousands of servants waiting to carry out Ravana's desires. Many rooms had cages with exotic birds, and the palace walls were covered with intricate designs of precious jewels. The couches were made of ivory inlaid with gold. Musicians played sweet and melodious songs, and lotus flowers and fountains adorned the palace gardens and ponds. As she viewed the spacious and fabulously decorated rooms, each containing thousands of women adorned with untold valuable jewels, Ravana explained, "Lanka is inhabited by 32 crores of Rakshasas, excluding the aged and infants. And thousands of these are my personal servants. If you are wise, O lovely Sita, you will fulfill my ardent desire and become my principal queen. Become my mistress and rule over all its opulence. I am tormented by love for you and shall be devoted to you alone. Please grant me your favor and look upon me with affection, for youthful beauty is fleeting. You should enjoy life with me and forget the insignificant Rama." Sita covered her moon-like face and began shedding silent tears. Ravana then continued, "Do not be afraid that our union goes against religious principles. I love you more than life itself. I fall at your feet and beg you to grant me your favor. Let this plea, which has arisen from love's anguish, not go in vain. Never before has Ravana bowed down before any woman." Ravana thought that by speaking of his love for her, Sita would soon be subdued. However, Sita fearlessly replied, "My heart remains for Rama alone. Why should I, a swan sporting with her mate within a lotus-filled lake, prefer a duck meandering on the shore? You can do whatever you like to me because of your vile, sinful lust. You'll soon meet your death at the hands of Rama." After being harshly rebuked by Sita, Ravana became enraged, saying, "I will give you just 12 months to surrender to me. At the end of that time, you will resist me. If you still resist me, I will have my cooks cut you to pieces and serve you as my breakfast." Ravana then turned to the Rakshasi attendants and ordered, Transfer Sita to the Ashoka grove. Keep a careful watch over her and try to win her over to my side by whatever means is required. threaten her, flatter her, do whatever it takes, but tame her as one would an elephant. Arriving at the beautiful Ashoka grove, replete with trees full of fruits and flowers, Sita became overwhelmed with anguish. Due to being constantly intimidated by the deformed Rakshasis, she soon fainted out of fright. At that time, Lord Brahma summoned Indra and said, Sita has been kidnapped by Ravana and taken to Lanka. This is our good fortune, for it surely means the imminent destruction of the Rakshasa king. Still, there is the danger that Sita may die due to separation from Rama. Therefore, I want you to go and give her this heavenly sweet rice to eat. Thereafter, Indra went to the Ashoka grove at Lanka along with Nidra Devi, the goddess of sleep. After Nidra had put all the Rakshasas to sleep, Indra in the dress of a Brahmana approached Sita and said, I am the heavenly king, come to render assistance to Lord Rama. Please take this celestial sweet rice, for it will make you immune to hunger, thirst, and bodily miseries for many years to come. Sita doubted that the Brahmana was Indra and requested him to reveal his celestial form. Upon her request, Indra assumed his true form. When Sita observed that his feet did not touch the ground, his garland was not faded, and his clothes were completely free from dust, she became convinced of his identity and accepted the sweet rice. Sita first offered the food by praying for Rama to accept it. As soon as she ate it, she became freed from all bodily pangs. Their mission accomplished, Indra and Nidra Devi vanished from the scene. Whenever the Lord's devotee is in great difficulty, the Lord sees to his protection. A devotee never worries for his own protection or well-being. Knowing that Krishna or Rama is always attentive to his needs, he concentrates on his service to the Lord. In the wonderful reciprocation of love, the devotee always thinks of his Lord, and the Lord always thinks of his devotee. After killing Maricha, Ram hastened back to his cottage. Along the way, he thought, the Rakshasas certainly want to take revenge against me for slaughtering the entire army at Janasthan. Maricha's tricks were probably part of a plan to lure me away and devour Sita. I pray that Lakshmana did not leave Sita alone after hearing Maricha cry out, perfectly imitating my voice. Rama's apprehensions increased upon hearing the frightful cry of a jackal at his back. Then birds and other wild animals began to pass Rama on his right side, uttering frightful cries. Moreover, his left eye twitched, his left arm throbbed conclusively, and his heart thumped. While observing these inauspicious signs, Ram met Lakshmana coming from the cottage. Taking him by the left hand, Ram immediately began to reproach him, saying, How could you disobey my order, leaving Sita unprotected? From all the inauspicious omens that I have appeared, I can understand that she has either been killed or kidnapped. Oh Lakshmana, how could you leave Sita all alone? As the two rushed back to the cottage, Rama suddenly tripped on the forest path. Overwhelmed by fear of losing Sita and angry with Lakshmana for leaving her unprotected, Ram began to lament like a deranged person. If Sita is dead, then I shall kill myself, for I cannot bear to think of living without her. Oh Lakshmana, how could you betray me like this and leave dear Sita unprotected? Lakshmana hoped to explain, saying, Sita became a mad woman after hearing your cries for help. She spoke harshly, accusing me of leaving you to die so I could enjoy with her. Then she accused me of being Bharata's accomplice, your enemy in disguise. Hoping to prove her accusations false, I came here to your aid. Ram angrily replied, There is no excuse for leaving Sita unprotected. You are fully aware that I am unconquerable and do not lack prowess for defending myself from Rakshasas or anyone else. You should not have become provoked by a woman's anger, disobeyed my order. Oh Lakshmana, you made a great mistake. Such behavior is unworthy of you. Rama and Lakshmana finally reached their cottage, only to find it deserted. Rama then began searching all around for Sita. Failing to find her, his face appeared withered and dark from grief. Afflicted with transcendental madness from feelings of separation, Rama began questioning the trees. Have you seen my beloved Sita pass this way, dressed in yellow silk and decorated with flowers in her hair? Rama then began asking the forest animals and birds if they had seen Sita. Receiving no reply, he became more morose. Then, imagining that Sita had suddenly appeared before him, Ram cried out, "Oh, dearly beloved, why are you running away from me and hiding yourself? Why would you not speak to me?" Rama then imagined that Sita had been devoured by the Rakshasas and envisioned her delicate bodily features. Ram and Lakshmana continued to comb the surrounding mountains and forests, refusing to give up hope of finding Sita. However, when Sita could not be found, Ram became discouraged and sat down in despair. Regardless, Lakshmana encouraged him to continue searching. Thus, they roamed across many mountains, forests, and plains. Finally, Ram could go no further, and he gave way to intense grief. Standing motionless, seeming bereft of reason, he breathed heartily, and his eyes filled with tears. Ram became indifferent to Lakshmana's assurance that they would find Sita. Tormented by love, Ram cried out, helping, "Sita, Sita." Again and again, as if deranged, Ram cried, "My darling, have you hidden yourself just to play a joke with me? I beg you to please come out, for my suffering is intolerable." There are many instances of devotees weeping in separation from the Lord. The milkmaids of Vrindavan spend their whole lives wandering in search of Krishna. Lord Chaitanya, as a perfect devotee, also adopted the mood of separation as the highest expression of love of God. Still, one may ask why Rama, as a supreme Lord, wept for his beloved like an ordinary man. Indeed, being the omniscient Lord, he certainly knew her whereabouts. The Lord enacts his pastimes for several reasons. Foremost, he comes to teach us that he is never impersonal but always the supreme person. Thus, he gives pleasure to his devotees and teaches mental speculators and mystic yogis that the supreme absolute truth is a person captured and controlled by love. Secondly, he comes to establish dharma, the way of righteousness. He also comes to annihilate the demons. By weeping over his abducted wife, Lord Rama establishes dharma, right conduct. He shows us by negative example the condition of a man too attached to woman. The incident also shows that a woman should always be protected lest she be exploited by Rakshasas like Ravana. Vedic living has no scope for a woman's being independent. However, powerful woman may be, she cannot protect herself independently. Still, this is for the instruction of the materialists. On the spiritual side, Ram, being the supreme personality of Godhead, is not subject to material conditioning. The separation Ram experiences from Sita is understood as transcendental conjugal love in separation. This is an activity of the Supreme Lord's pleasure potency and belongs to the mellow of conjugal love in the spiritual world. Although repeatedly called for, Sita did not appear. Ram became convinced she had been devoured by the Rakshasas. Lakshmana was also sick at heart. Rama then said, "Oh Lakshmana, please go to the banks of Godavari, for perhaps Sita has gone there to collect flowers." Thereafter, when Lakshmana returned from the Godavari without Sita, Ram personally went to the river and began asking the trees and animals about her. However, due to their fear of Ravana, none of the creatures dared reply, although Ram noticed that the deer were looking at him with meaningful intention. Rama then questioned the deer and tried reading their minds through their eyes. The deer seemed to reply by turning their heads upward and to the south, as if indicating Sita had been carried away through the sky in that direction. Lakshmana could understand the deer's message and suggested they walk towards the south in hope of finding some clue. After setting out, they soon came to a trail of scattered flowers, which Ram recognized as those he had given Sita. Addressing a nearby mountain, Ram asked, "Where has Sita gone after passing this way?" Receiving no answer, Ram became enraged, saying, "O mighty hill, if you do not reply to me, I shall shatter you to pieces with my arrows." There was only silence as Rama glowered at the peak with hot eyes. Rama then prepared to release his arrows at the mountain when Lakshmana pointed out Sita's footprints besides those of a giant Rakshasa. Following the footprints, Ram and Lakshmana soon came upon Ravana's broken bow and quiver, portions of his shattered chariot, along with pieces of Sita's broken ornaments. Then, when drops of blood were found, Rama concluded The Sita was indeed devoured by the Rakshasas, for it appeared that two man-eaters had fought over here at that spot. Gazing upon the dead mules, smashed chariot, and scattered weapons, Rama vowed, "No Rakshasas shall escape my vengeance, for today I will destroy them all in retaliation for Sita's murder. Why have the useless demigods not done something to save my helpless wife? If the demigods do not deliver Sita to me at once, as revenge for the negligence and the crime of the Rakshasas, I shall destroy the entire universe." Rama's eyes were red hot with anger, and his lips, tightly pressed together, trembled with rage. Then taking his bow from Lakshmana, Rama placed a terrible arrow meant to destroy the entire universe upon the string. Terrified, Lakshmana joined his hands in supplication, pleading, "Rama, by nature you are gentle, self-controlled, and the well-wisher of all living entities. Therefore, please control your wrath and do not act hastily. It appears to me there was only one Rakshasa involved in this fight, for there is but one broken chariot. Let us continue to search for Sita. If we still do not find her, then you can act as you see fit. My dear brother, you must practice forbearance, since suffering is inevitable. If you cannot tolerate life's miseries, how can the common man be expected to do so? You should only consider how your enemy can be killed. There is no need to destroy the entire universe." While speaking this way, Lakshmana lovingly massaged his brother's lotus feet and gradually pacified Rama. After withdrawing the arrow from his bow, Rama assented to Lakshmana's suggestion to search the entire area of Janasthan thoroughly. Thereafter, while combing the forest, Rama and Lakshmana came upon the fallen Jatayu lying in a pool of blood. Rama thought he was a Rakshasa disguised as a bird who had devoured Sita and was now resting. Thus, as Rama approached, he fitted an arrow to his bow ready to release it. However, upon drawing near, Rama understood that it was Jatayu and that he had been fatally wounded while trying to rescue Sita from the clutches of Ravana. Understanding the situation, Ram threw his bow aside and embraced Jatayu. Seeing the plight of his servant, Ram became doubly aggrieved. Ram anxiously asked, "Oh Jatayu, please tell me everything you know about Sita and her abductor." The dying Jatayu related all that had happened and commented, "Ravana took Sita away at the time of day known as Vinda. If a person loses something at that time, he will surely reclaim it very soon. My dear Rama, do not be overly aggrieved because of Sita, for you shall certainly regain her after killing the Rakshasa king in a battle." Then, as Jatayu described Ravana's exalted lineage, he gasped his last breath, uttering, "Rama, Rama." Hare Krishna. So I stop here. And I respect Vijay Damodar Prabhu to come over and please take over. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Let's give a big round of appreciation to Vijay Damodar Prabhu. Hare Hare.
Thanks for bearing me. Hare Krishna.